Welcome everyone. My name is Lazaro J. Diaz, and I want to welcome you to the router configuration and router administration course. Now, this is a very important course. This is the core of Cisco, which is routing, okay? This is why I'm dressed up in my tuxedo with my little bow tie, because it's going to be very professionally explained and very detailed. Okay, so we got to get serious for this one. All right, now, one of the things that we're going to talk about before I start getting into all the different labs and configurations is the different types of certifications. We still are taking the CCNA 640-802. Okay, not until October 1st do you have to take the 200-120 or the CCNAX. One thing that I always tell my students, I recommend that you take only one test only. Let me bring up, as a matter of fact, let me bring up Notepad. Okay, let me bring my little tool over here. Let's maximize Notepad. And let's bring out the pencil. Okay, you have two options. You can take the 640-802 at this moment, okay, still, okay, that's one test. I really don't agree, or I wouldn't suggest for you to take two tests. I know that the Cisco Academy separates into ICND1 and ICND2. That's not the way I teach it, where the actual classrooms that I go teach, all right, or even when I'm doing classes like this. Take the one test. There's no need for it to break down in two tests. And let me tell you why. Because if you break it down in two tests, you're going to get a lot more detailed questions. Now, I'm not trying to say, hey, the other one is easier, but the whole point is to passing this test. All right? If you take two tests, they're going to give you a lot more questions than they would in one test. Now, I don't know about you, but first of all, I want to take one test and get it over with. Because for me, taking tests, I get like this. I get all shaky. I want to throw up. I get all pale. I'm a very bad test taker. I hate taking tests. Okay? But we got to do it. We got to get that little piece of paper that brings us in the door to these jobs. All right? But I always tell my students, listen, forget about taking the ICND1 and the ICND2. It's going to cost you more anyway in the long run, and it's just going to ask you a lot more questions. Okay? Now with the 640-802, they even increased the time. It used to be 90 minutes to take this test for 56 questions. All right? Now they're giving you 110 minutes to take the test. You got plenty of time, all right, if you've studied and done the work to take this exam. The average time that my guys are done with their test, I don't think they go not even to 90 minutes. They're like around, one guy took it in about an hour, a little bit over an hour. That's about it. Took his time, make sure you got everything right, because remember, you can't click back. All right, but you can still take this test. But the new test is coming out on October 1st. What does that mean? That's it? Yours is going to expire? Your knowledge is going to go away? Of course not. Oh, of course not. This is something that the industry wants to put back out there. All right, so you get, they're making it a little bit harder. They're putting maybe more IPv6, which I did look into the new book that only Cisco Press has, all right, for the new CCNA. And they're including a lot more IPv6 as far as, in their course study. And they're now including more VPN, all right? But, it's essentially the same. Now, I did see their labs, all right, that they're going to have in there is EIGRP, all right? A lot of EIGRP. So definitely we'll be talking in this course a lot about EIGRP, all right? So, again, do you have to rush and take the new test? No. This is the new test, the 200-120, all right, and that's going to be in October 1st. So October 1st, this one will be phased out, and now you got to take this one. It's just like your A+. Okay, I took my A+ back in 2000, I think, or was it 19, whatever, let's say 2000. Okay, in 2000. Am I going to take my A+ again? Yeah, no. Never again, okay? Are you going to take your N+? Nope, never again. I took it way back then too. So the certifications that are from way back then, they're not going to renew now. Especially if you took it way back then, you're grandfathered in. As a matter of fact, CompTIA doesn't want you to take the A Plus and Network Plus if you already took it way back then. They just want you to take your Security Plus, and it'll upgrade or it'll renew those certifications, because now everybody's doing that. Every so often, 3 years or 5 years, whatever the case may be, you have to renew your certification, okay? So, what I'm trying to say is, don't worry, don't be in a hurry. Oh my God, the new certification is coming out October 1st, what do I do? This one is still good up to that day, or just before that day, the day before, correct? So you can still take that one, all right? You still have all your material for that, you can take that. If you want to take the new test, okay, still the same principles, just a couple more things on IPv6. And I'm going to give you everything you need on IPv6. You're going to be subnetting in IPv6 when I put my course out there. So it's no big deal. You're going to get everything you need in IPv6. I'm going to tell you things you need for VPN, all that. You're going to get all that through all my videos. All right? But again, you have a choice. Just because certification is changing, don't worry about it. Unless your employer says, hey, you need the new certification because it's like, okay, all right, I'll go take it. You're paying for it, right? Now I'll go take it. All right? So again, take the 64802 as one test. You can take either the 200-20, I think I remember correctly. You can take it in 2 steps also, the new CCNA, or you can take what they call, let me erase this real quick. They have the if I get the pencil, all right? You can get the CCNAX, right? Which is that one test for the new version, all right? You have to take them, again, in 2 steps. I hated to take two certifications, like the A+. It's like, oh my God, I got one, but I got to get the other one. I just want to take one test and get it over with, all right? And again, for the CCNA, it's beginning fundamental levels. Just take that one test. You got 110 minutes, all right, to take this test. All right, it's 3 simulations. The rest of them are questions. I'm going to give you everything you need, okay, for you to pass this test, okay? Trust me. You read the books that you have probably already from Cisco Press, extremely deep. If you can pass the Cisco Academy, you can pass the certification. Cisco does a very good job in going into so much detail into everything that you'll be overly prepared for the CCNA certification. Mr. Tom Lanley's book, okay, which is the one that I use my classes, I base my classes on. His book, the CCNA certification guide, preparation guide, is geared towards the certification. You read that book cover to cover, do all the labs, listen to the lectures, do my labs. You'll be more than prepared to take that certification. Again, take one test. With that, with the questions, I'm going to show you now, well, I mean, again, take one certification exam and don't rush to try and take the new one. All right, you have your CCNA now. Put that in your resume. Yeah, I know how to configure routers. Yes, I know IP. So you'll have the knowledge. If they say, oh, okay, well, we'll hire you, and then can you upgrade your certification anytime soon? And you're like, oh, okay, sure, not a problem. All right, but the whole thing is to get the certification. All right, so if you want to study and you want to wait till October 1st, that's fine. But the concepts of routing are the concepts of routing, that they may have a little bit more IPv6, a little bit more on VPNs, okay. All right, some little different labs on EIGRP. Again, they're not going to make the CCNA like the CCNP, even though I may give you some material for the CCNP. But again, they're not going to do that. This is the fundamentals of that, all right? But what I am going to show you, let me close Notepad. I'm going to show you, this is ExamView Player. This is a software that I use to test my students when I give tests in the classroom. These are basically some of the actual, let me zoom in a little bit more here. All right, I guess you can't just tap it lightly, you got to smack it, okay? These are questions that you're going to run into. Ooh. All right. Things like, before installing a new upgraded version of the OS, what should be checked on the router and which command should be used to gather this information? Choose 2. Well, you definitely want to know the amount of RAM that you have on your router, and the command that you would do to show that would be show running. Let me get the little pencil out so I can mark it for you. You would choose this right here, B, and you would do the show version command. right? Because these are the things that we're going to talk about. One of the components of the router. This course, we're going to get into all that. All right, we're going to get into, okay, RAM, ROM, NVRAM, and FLASH. All right? Why is this so important if you're upgrading your iOS? Because your RAM is where your operating system gets decompressed into. That's what's going to hold your operating system. Flash is where your operating system gets installed. So that's where you need to know if you have enough flash and enough RAM. And of course, what you can do is just do the show version and it'll show you all that information, okay? Show version. All right, another thing. And again, experience is everything. So if you got the live equipment, it's great because you can practice doing this, all right? Because in the VLAN video that I have up there, it shows you how to back up your router. You can back up your iOS, you can back up your server configs, all that, right? When you, and this happened to me, and this is how I found out. I installed a new version of the iOS. I did not verify how much RAM I had. Well, in the flash, it got compressed and went and installed perfectly into the RAM. It went into the iOS, I'm sorry, it went to the flash. But when I tried booting up the router, it wouldn't because I didn't have enough RAM. So this is why that's the importance. But again, you learn by actually doing. All right, I know that's the way I am. I asked several students that have emailed me, all right, that told me, hey, I'm a hands-on type of person. Listen, you know what? So am I. All right, I can't just sit there and just read, or have someone read to me. All right, because I know that pain. I've been in school too, and colleges and universities, and to sit there and watch some guy read off a PowerPoint presentation, yeah, that's not going to cut it for me. Explain to me what it is. Let's do it. So we know whether it's a simulator or the real live equipment. That's how you learn. You know, anybody can read a book, okay? All right, anyway, so these are the kind of things that you're going to run into. Questions like this. Let's scroll this up here. Which command is used to copy the configuration from RAM to NVRAM, from running configuration, from the run, copy running config, to startup config, all right? It will be this one right here. Let's get the pencil out again. Okay, it will be this one right here. And see how they're tricky? They'll just reverse it on you, or, you know, right terminal, things like that. But it's copy running config, startup config. They're looking for the whole command. Normally we do copy run start. Okay, so questions like this you'll get into. Okay, let me see if I can find one with a scenario. Here we go. Here's a scenario. Refer to the exhibit. Hosts in this network are unable to reach hosts in that network. Based on the output of router A, what are two possible reasons for the failure? Well, in order to see, you see it says there, show IP interface brief. That's what I was doing in the VLAN. In the VLAN course that I have up there. We did the show IP in brief, and we take a look at the summary interfaces. Well, take a look at this. What is it? Host B. Host in network 192.168.2.0, people here in this router A, F00, all right, can get to the host on the 3.0 over here, router B. So we're looking at the output of router A. So what is it that we're doing? The IP address, it says up, but this one, 1.5, says up, down. When you see up, down, that's a layer 2 issue. Encapsulation, clock rates, usually is the issue. So when you go down here, is it choose to? Choose to, okay? So we look at the cable, no, because cable is an actual physical problem. Is it administratively down? No, it's up, down. Interface in the router is configured with an incorrect subnet mask. No, that wouldn't, well, that could cause that, but we can't see that through that output, so that we couldn't answer that. The interface S00 or router A is not receiving the clock signal? Yes, that could be one of the answers right here. Right, oh, my pencil. Okay, the clock signal, oh, I changed the color, that's nasty. Okay, and then the encapsulation configured on the S00 router does not match. That is correct. So let's say you're doing PPP on one serial interface. That's funny. Okay, let's say you're doing PPP from here to here. If you got PPP encapsulation here and you got HDLC the default, there'll be an up down. So these are the kind of things that you're going to run into, and you're going to run into in all these. And look at here. Okay, questions about VLSM. Which routing protocol will support the IP addressing scheme? What do they mean by that? Look at the subnet masks, the CIDRs, 26, 27, 27, 30, 30. So they vary, don't they? So which routing protocol are you going to get into? BRIV version 2. Okay. Why can't I just know what I want? BRIV version 2 and EIGRP, if you choose 3, yep, and OSPF. So I'll be teaching you all this stuff. And it's going to be the same thing between the first certification and the second certification. And not only that, these are questions, correct? Let's get rid of that. Let's get the little dial here to move up. All right, what else? Basically, you're going to run into scenario questions just like this. So the same. All right, we're going to know how to answer all these questions. I'm going to break these questions down to you. Now, as far as labs, one of the labs that we're going to do in this course is this one. This is my summarization lab. First of all, you're going to create VLANs down here. Each PC, let me move this to one side if I can get it. Okay, oop, too much. Each PC is its own VLAN in its own network. And you can see you have their own routers, but they're not connected together. They're connected to this core router, Cisco 3-layer model, right? Core router, distribution access routers, okay? So what we're going to do, because this router is going to have a huge routing table. It's going to have each network that is not connected to directly in this routing table. This router doesn't need to know individual networks. So we're going to summarize all these routes, and then we're going to advertise the summary address to the core router. So then the routing table from being this big becomes this big, okay? So again, and there you will be asked questions on summarization. All right, so we're going to cover stuff like this. Another lab that we're going to cover, which is, I like it, it's pretty cool. When it comes to EIGRP, you better put your belt on, have your sandwiches, your peanuts, your soda, whatever it is that you drink next to you, because we're going to have a lot of labs on EIGRP, because not only are you tested on the 640-802, but you're also tested on the new version of the CCNA. So we're going to be doing tons of labs in EIGRP. This lab goes a little bit beyond the CCNA, I have to admit, because we're going to learn actually how to calculate bandwidth, okay, in EIGRP. And this is the lab that we're going to do it in, okay? Now, that's more for a CCNP level, but hey, it's math, okay? It's not a big deal. I'm going to show you how to do it. We'll take our time, nice and easy, and you'll learn how to calculate that, because one of the important things that they talk about in EIGRP is the topology table, the feasible successor, all right? We need to know about that. So we're going to go ahead and get into a lot of labs with EIGRP. Other labs that, let's look at OSPF. This is a great lab when it comes to the OSPF. And again, all these labs I made. I created these labs, okay? These are the labs that all my students do. This is the one for the designated router and backup designated router labs. So you know how it gets picked, using loopback interfaces, using priorities, okay, using the physical address. So we're going to get into all those types of labs. So you can see, now in this lab, you're going to have 2 DRs and 2 BDRs. And again, once we get to the OSPF, which we're going to get into detail, you're going to see all the different things when it comes to that. What else did I want to show you in here? And that's the OSPF, that's a summary. That's basically it. But those are not the only 3 labs. I have a slew of labs that I'm going to give you. So I'm just trying to let you know that we are, in this course, going to cover, when I say router administration, I mean router administration. You're going to have these documents with you. This is a step-by-step guide, okay, and showing you everything in different phases. The housekeeping, okay, complete, or at least that the packet tracer allows, okay, your serial interfaces, how to configure RIV version 2, EIGRP, OSPF, all right. You're going to have the, what is this? Oh, static routes using the exit interface or the next hop address. All right, verification commands. You're going to have everything, how to create static host tables using DNS. We're going to be doing all this stuff, okay? We're going to be doing all this stuff right here. All right, in detail. So that's just the router administration. But again, we're going to have the routing of RIP version 2. Well, first we get into default and static routes. Then we get into the dynamic routing protocols. RIP version 2, then from RIP version 2, EIGRP, from EIGRP to OSPF. Okay, OSPF will be the very last thing that we do. But it's going to take some time because I need you to understand the concepts. Because right now, the lab, if I remember correctly, there's three routers that are working, and they added an extra router, but that router is not communicating. And one of the reasons is because they're using different autonomous systems. So I'm going to give you the importance of what the autonomous system is, the importance of the administrative distance of each routing protocol. We'll talk about the algorithms of each, the Bellman-Ford, the dual, the Dijkstra, I can never pronounce it, the Dijkstra, okay, for OSPF. We're going to talk about all that. So this is an extremely important course because this is one of the core concepts. Cisco is about routing, okay? And you definitely need to know how to administer. Now, one of the things with administration, we're going to be configuring, we're going to be telnetting into the routers from the PCs. I believe it does support that, and from other routers. All right, we're going to be changing the registries. So we'll be working with hex numbers as well. So we're doing a whole bunch of things. We're going to go ahead and delete the iOS. We're going to make it boot into ROM monitor mode and how to get out of it, and how to bypass the passwords. Everything that's in your Cisco Press books or whatever books that you guys are using for your certification. This is a big course. It's not really a big course. There's 20 lectures. But the lectures are going to be big, and there's a lot of information that I need to give to you. All right? So get ready to strap down because IP is going to be in here too. So I hope you subscribe for that IPv4 class because I'm going to be throwing IPs at you, and you better know them. All right? All right. So I'll see you in the next lecture. Be ready.